Arindor Station was known as the jewel of the outer trade routes. Massive glass domes stretched into space, glowing with soft white light. Ships from many worlds docked there every day. It was a place where powerful species showed off their wealth, their technology, and sometimes their pets. In the Grand Promenade, the wealthy and important gathered for the exotic Companion Expo. Beautiful alien creatures floated in glass tanks. Some sang. Some changed colors. Some shimmered like living jewels. They were not wild animals. They were designed, bred, modified to be calm and pleasing. The most admired display belonged to the Virelian Combine. The tall, silver-skinned Virelian stood proudly beside a crystal enclosure. Inside it rested a small, glowing creature called a drifthound. It had 4 delicate legs and a smooth, glass-like body. Soft blue light moved through its veins. When it breathed, its body shimmered gently. It did not bark. Instead, it made a soft harmonic sound, like wind moving through metal strings. Many guests admired it. Perfect symmetry, one merchant said. Excellent temperament, another added. But something was wrong. The drifthound's glow flickered. Its legs trembled when it tried to stand. The beautiful blue light faded into a weak purple pulse. The Virelian handler scanned it with a thin silver device. The reading made his expression harden. Genetic failure, he said coldly. Instability detected. The nearby guests stepped back immediately. It will not survive maturation, the handler continued. Disposal is recommended. To the Virelians, this was normal. Companion species were engineered products. If one failed, it was replaced. Within the hour, the drifthound was removed from its shining display. The crystal enclosure was cleaned and prepared for a new specimen. The faulty one was placed in a small cargo container and transported to the lower maintenance decks of the station. The area was quiet and cold, far from the beautiful promenade above. A red tag was attached to the container. Biological waste, scheduled for incineration. The drifthound lay on the metal floor. Its glow was now faint and uneven. Its breathing was shallow. It made a soft, broken humming sound. Footsteps echoed down the corridor. Lieutenant Mara Ionescu walked through the maintenance level, reading data from her wrist pad. She wore the dark uniform of the United Nations exploratory ship Pathfinder. Humans were still new to the galaxy. They did not have the strongest ships or the most advanced weapons, but they were curious. And they were stubborn. Mara stopped walking.
She tilted her head slightly. There it was again.
A faint sound, not mechanical, not from the station systems. It sounded sad. She followed the noise until she found the small cargo container. The red warning tag blinked softly. She crouched down and opened the lid. Inside, she saw the drifthound. For a moment, she simply stared. She had seen pictures of them earlier at the expo. They were supposed to glow brightly, almost like living stars. This one barely glowed at all. Its large, dark eyes slowly lifted toward her. The humming sound became slightly louder, but it was weak. Its body trembled as if it was cold. Mara looked at the red tag. Biological waste, she read quietly. Her jaw tightened. It's not waste, she muttered. Behind her, a station security drone floated closer. Its mechanical voice spoke clearly. That organism has been designated defective. Removal is authorized. Mara ignored it. She carefully reached into the container. The creature felt warm, but its warmth was fading. When her hands touched it, the faint purple glow flickered slightly brighter. The drone hovered closer. The organism may be unstable or hazardous. Mara gently lifted the drifthound into her arms. It was lighter than she expected. Fragile. It's dying, she said calmly. That's not the same thing as dangerous. The drone paused, processing. Return the organism to the disposal unit.
No, Mara replied. The drifthound's humming changed.
The sound became smoother, almost calmer. Its glow shifted slightly, reacting to her touch.
Mara stood up, holding the alien creature against her chest.
"Transfer medical clearance to the UNS Pathfinder," she ordered. "I'm taking responsibility. This action may cause diplomatic complaint from the Virelian Combine." She gave a small, firm smile. "Then they can complain." As she walked down the corridor, the faint purple light slowly began to mix with a thin thread of gold. High above, in the shining halls of the expo, no one noticed. But deep in the cargo decks of Arendor Station, something that was meant to die had just been chosen instead. And sometimes, that choice changes everything. The medical bay of the UNS Pathfinder was quiet but busy. Soft white lights shone over the small alien creature lying inside a clear medical field. Machines scanned its body again and again. Thin beams of blue light passed over its skin. Data moved quickly across floating screens. Lieutenant Mara stood beside the table with her arms crossed. She had not left since bringing the Drifthound aboard. Dr. Arun Kale, the ship's xenobiologist, leaned closer to the scan results. His dark eyes were wide with focus. "This makes no sense," he said softly. The Drifthound's body was still weak, but it was no longer fading. Its glow had changed. The soft purple light now mixed with thin lines of gold that moved slowly under its smooth skin. "It's still unstable?" Mara asked. Dr. Kale shook his head slowly.
No, that's the strange part.
"It's not breaking down."
He turned one of the screens toward her. It's rebuilding.
Rebuilding? Yes. Its DNA is changing. Adjusting. He zoomed in on the data. It's adapting to our ship's atmosphere.
How gravity. Even our radiation levels.
That's normal, right? For some species, small changes are normal, Dr. Kale replied. But this is rapid evolution. It's rewriting parts of itself in real time. The Drifthound made a soft humming sound. This time it was steadier, deeper. The golden light grew a little brighter. Mara watched it carefully. The Virelian said it had genetic failure. Doctor.
Kale gave a short laugh. "If this is failure, then I would love to see their version of success." He brought up another screen.
"Look here. These gene clusters were locked, suppressed, artificially."
Suppressed?
Mara repeated.
Yes.
"Someone limited its natural development." He leaned back, thinking. This creature was designed to stay small, harmless, dependent. Mara looked at the Drifthound again. "You're saying it wasn't sick?" Kale said quietly. It was growing. At that moment, the Drifthound opened its eyes. The gold light inside them was stronger now. It slowly lifted its head. Its legs trembled, but it did not fall. Mara stepped closer. "Easy," she whispered. The creature looked at her and released a soft harmonic tone. The sound felt different now, not weak, not broken. Suddenly, the lights in the medical bay flickered. One of the machines shut down with a sharp click. Dr. Kale looked up quickly. What was that? Before anyone could answer, the Drifthound's body flashed bright gold. A wave of energy moved outward from it, across the ship. Systems blinked off. Screens went dark. Doors froze in place. The engine core dropped to standby mode. On the bridge, officers shouted in surprise. Power failure across decks 3 through 7. Navigation offline. In the medical bay, Mara grabbed the edge of the table as the lights dimmed. The Drifthound was glowing like a small star now.
The golden light filled the room, but the creature did not look angry.
It looked afraid. "It's not attacking, Doctor."
Kale said quickly. "Look at the readings. It's emitting a signal." "A signal?" Mara repeated. "Yes, structured energy pulses. It's communicating." The golden light pulsed again, slower this time. The humming sound deepened into something almost musical. The air itself seemed to vibrate. Then, the glow faded slightly. The ship's emergency power kicked in. Red lights turned on along the walls. On the bridge, the communications officer gasped. "Captain, we are receiving something." From where? The captain demanded.
Unknown source. Long range.
Very long range. Back in the medical bay, Doctor. Kale's face had gone pale. The signal it sent, he whispered. It wasn't random. Mara looked down at the drift hound. It had curled slightly on the table, breathing heavily. The golden glow now moved in slow waves under its skin. What did it do? She asked. Dr. Kale swallowed. It called someone. As if to confirm his words, the ship's sensors began to beep urgently. On the main display screen of the bridge, far beyond the edges of Arindor Station, space itself seemed to shimmer. Something was moving in the darkness. Not one object, many. Large shapes began to appear on long-range scanners. They were massive, bigger than any known Conclave warship, and they were coming closer. On the medical table, the drift hound lifted its head once more. Its golden eyes were no longer afraid. They were waiting. Mara slowly placed her hand beside it. The creature leaned gently toward her touch. Far out in deep space, ancient engines awakened, and whatever had just answered the call was not small, not weak, and not alone. The alarm lights on Arindor Station flashed bright orange. Across the docking rings, ships powered up their engines. Trade vessels pulled away from open ports. Military ships formed defensive lines around the station. The news had spread quickly. Unknown vessels were entering the system. Very large vessels. On the main observation deck of the station, leaders of different alien species stood together in fear. Among them was the tall ambassador of the Virillian Combine. His silver face showed no emotion, but his hands were tightly clasped behind his back. A holographic display showed the approaching fleet. The ships did not look mechanical. They looked alive. Each one was shaped like a long curved shell, glowing with soft golden light. Energy moved across their surfaces like slow lightning. They did not fly in a straight military pattern. They drifted together smoothly, like a group of sea creatures moving through deep water. On the screen, numbers kept updating. Size comparison complete, a station officer said nervously. Each vessel is larger than our primary defense carrier. Murmurs filled the room. On the UNS Pathfinder, the human crew watched the same data. Captain Reyes stood at the center of the bridge.
Weapons status? Powered, the tactical officer replied. But it won't matter much, sir. No one disagreed.
In the medical bay, the drift hound stood on its forelegs now. It was no longer small like before. Its body had grown nearly twice its original size. The golden light inside it was steady and strong. Lieutenant Mara stood beside it. You knew they would come, she said softly. The creature turned its glowing eyes toward her. It made a low, harmonic sound. The sound felt calm. Kale entered quickly, holding a data pad. We found something in old Conclave records, he said. Hidden files, restricted access.
What kind of files? Mara asked.
He took a slow breath. History. On the main screen of the bridge, the file opened.
Images appeared. Very old images.
Centuries ago, the Virillian Combine had explored deep space beyond their territory. There, they found a powerful species made of living energy and biostructure. The records called them the Aureolith. They were described as peaceful, but extremely dangerous if threatened. Their control over energy was beyond anything the Conclave understood. The records then became darker. Instead of war, the Virillians had chosen a different plan. They captured juvenile Aureolith. Small ones. They discovered that in early stages, the Aureolith were weaker and could be genetically modified. The Combine altered their growth patterns. They limited their power, reduced their intelligence, made them dependent. They turned young Aureolith into companion animals, into pets. Silence filled the human bridge. They enslaved them. Captain Reyes said quietly. Dr. Kale nodded and suppressed their natural development. The instability we saw, that was its true biology trying to return. In the medical bay, the drift hound's golden glow brightened as if it understood. Suddenly, every screen on the Pathfinder changed. The golden ships outside sent a transmission. It was not words. It was sound. Deep harmonic waves filled the ship. The vibration passed through metal and bone. It was powerful, but not violent. Dr. Kale rushed to translate the energy pattern. "It's structured communication," he said. "Give me a moment." The drifthound stepped forward. Its body shone brighter than ever before. It released its own harmonic tone in reply. The two sounds met. Across space, the giant golden ships slowed their advance. They stopped just outside weapon range. On Arendor Station, Conclave leaders panicked. "They are preparing to attack." One shouted, "Raise shields!" But no weapons fired. On the Pathfinder, Dr. Kale finally looked up from his console. His face was pale. "They are not asking for surrender," he said slowly. "What are they asking?" Captain Reyes demanded.
Dr. Kale swallowed.
"They are asking why their young one carries human energy patterns." Everyone looked toward the medical bay camera feed. The once small, unwanted pet stood tall now. Its golden body pulsed gently as it stood beside Mara. It leaned slightly against her leg, as if standing with her. Mara placed her hand on its glowing side. "It imprinted on us," she said softly. Outside, the massive Orolith ships waited. The entire conclave expected destruction. But the question hanging in space was not about war. It was about the bond. And the answer would decide the fate of everyone. The silence of space stretched across the observation decks of Arendor Station. Hundreds of eyes watched the golden fleet of Orolith ships, their immense bodies floating like living stars just beyond firing range. The conclave had never seen anything like this. Panic filled the air. Aliens whispered to each other in fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of power beyond comprehension. But on the UNS Pathfinder, humans remained calm. Calm not because they were stronger, but because they understood something the galaxy did not. Lieutenant Mara Ionescu stood beside the drifthound. Its golden glow wrapped around her legs like protective light. The creature's size now rivaled that of a small shuttle, but its voice, the harmonic tones, were gentle and steady. It was powerful, but it was not angry. Dr. Aaron Kale, the ship's xenobiologist, looked at the readings with awe. "Its neural lattice is bonded with human bioelectric patterns," he said quietly. "The connection is unique. The Orolith are responding not to us as humans, but to the drifthound's bond with us." Captain Reyes rubbed his forehead. "So, what does that mean?" "Doctor." Kale turned, his eyes wide. "It means they are not here to destroy. They are here to see why their youngling chose us. Why it trusted us." On the observation deck, Varelian ambassadors shifted uncomfortably. "This is absurd," one of them muttered. "They are property." "It should return to us." Emilara shook her head. "It is alive. It is not property. We do not abandon what lives. That is what makes us human." A low hum rolled across the station as the Orolith ships pulsed together. The communication was clear now, even without translation. The enormous ships had slowed to a halt, their lights flickering in response to the drifthound's golden glow. The messages were not threatening. They were inquisitive, cautious, and almost emotional. The drifthound stepped closer to Mara, its massive body quivering slightly, with a deep, warm vibration. It extended one translucent limb gently toward her chest. Mara laid her hand on it. The glow brightened. "It's replying," Dr. Kale said. "It's saying we acted as its protectors. It has chosen to stay with us. They respect that choice." On Arendor Station, whispers ran like fire. The conclave was stunned. No one had ever seen a species so powerful. Simply pause. No one had ever seen them honor another species' choices. Then, in the human ship's communication bay, the signal changed. It was precise now, almost musical in its order. The Orolith were sending instructions, not commands. Across several star systems, Varelian genetic facilities went dark. Machines designed to suppress Orolith juveniles powered down, automatically resetting. Every modification that had been forced on these beings for centuries was undone with surgical precision. They did it, Dr. Kale whispered. They chose correction instead of vengeance. Mara smiled faintly. Because we showed them how to care. We stayed. The Conclave ambassadors were outraged. This is impossible! Humanity is physically average, technologically limited, one shouted.
Why would they be respected? Dr. Kale stepped forward.
'Cause they act differently. They do not abandon life.
Not companions, not children, not allies. Outside, the golden glow of the Oriolith ships softened. They rotated slowly, as if bowing to the human vessel. The Drifthound released a final harmonic pulse that vibrated through space itself. It was a sound of trust, of recognition, and of new beginnings. Mara looked at her crew. We just changed the galaxy's rules, she said quietly. Captain Reyes nodded, his face serious but calm. We stayed. And that made all the difference. Far above, the Conclave continued to panic, but humanity had gained something far greater than fear or power, respect. They had proven that courage is not measured in weapons or ships or numbers. It is measured in choice, in care, in the refusal to abandon life when it is weakest. The Drifthound now settled fully beside Mara. Its golden glow wrapped the small human ship like a halo. On the observation screens, the massive Oriolith fleet slowly began to drift back into the void, leaving only one ship behind. A gentle reminder that they would return if ever needed. Mara looked down at the creature, smiling. You were never just a pet. You were always meant to show the galaxy who we are. The ship's engines hummed to life, systems stabilizing fully. The humans of the Pathfinder looked out into the vast golden-lit emptiness of space. They had stayed, and by doing so, they had shown the galaxy something new. Humanity might not be the strongest, the fastest, or the most advanced. But humanity never left what needed them most. And sometimes, that is enough to change everything. The Drifthound purred softly, golden light pulsing in perfect harmony with its human companions. As stars stretched endlessly across the void ahead, the galaxy had learned its first lesson in what it truly meant to care.